A Su Majestad el Rey Otumfour Osei Tutu II, Rey del pueblo Ashanti-Dagomba, a pronunciar el discurso inaugural.
Mema krobia iri fiang mani kotok ngen. Mema krobia iri fiang mani kotok ngen. Asante chanti otmo champonu fungen. Asante chanti otmo champonu fungen. Asante sesebo sumenditien. Asante sesebo sumenditien. Obia satinedwe kasangen. Obia satinedwe kasangen. Osetutwe mi modi nwerisio. Osetutwe mi modi nwerisio. Watch down quality one pimsi kapobano. Why in the Benya second teach leg watch down quality one pimsi kapobano. Obinya Sabian ko baby. Obinya Sabian ko baby. I'm not telling you about the Mefe Kasange.
Orovo mo kwaba na memfamra Unity Kasafo so o subscribe ma eno ahye na yenya more stories ni updates dey go there for jaton dey bra na yemo hu de roso entumi enfama wo a chese enya asem kito akra na bibia nso da na akwan mu a eno eye de etie enso so ewo ma menkamfo Alex Tito Meta and stainless works background proof China doors remote control gate barristers ni ne kan ho no ba cho ohunu kuma se friend 0541 901-819 Alex Tito Meta and stainless work all kind of metal works ni na no oye hu adwuma ma wo a chese ehun su twapa enye asem kitwa kra Jamaican enso edi achirewa chese enye ize kra eba cho wa pass asiato ai asasi eda Ashanti region Kwabri East Kronidi edi Kwabri Safo inti wo pass asiato eba cho freno ewo 0597193793 0597193793 fremo now no mo entwetwe. Okay, abusia eno eye die tie no meba cho medical ya tuma nim se ye wo driver for hono mo a mo so epedwuma abeka yensa enti wo a wo pe driver ni private driver amana chuka ufia ma wo na so betwi obi a commercial vehicle bibi ti se anwia car bisa no ana se bia obetwi bia okay bia na se company car bi dia ma meba cho studio line na oni entwetwe nkomo on 0554047264 your sound food bi on mo driver for professionals omitwi o car no enso edama kama pa enya sanke don't frey so per driver ni nkwa dia free unity for na oni entwetwe nkomo Black Rasta bekasa dia fa Wode Maya ni statement o make for the last time ewo aye refa Asante hene ho chese oni obiti se kareche bifa kwa binya issue bi ni ade aba fana we chiri din Black Rasta bekasa e dia fa say there's nothing wrong aye Black Rasta aye enso ewo enso man for gina no esi boni ni ade uhwe babia abranti ni nchifri kwa fa social ase kwa kupi mo China or the YouTube na yesa ama the whole Africa wabejidina na chese King of Swatini ebaha specifically abranti ni modern money ni nyama bia woye ekura ka ho bi ne ma ohene no bi pi mo Ghana which means Wode Maya ebodwuma pa Asante nya so mfaso eni ade na Black Rasta raise a concern ahodo yenguti nensem.
Wode Maya doesn't have all the education in the world when it comes to history. But he didn't wait to be a history professor before going out there to teach history. He takes you to very important sites. And then he tells you the story through people who know more. That's a sensible guy. I always salute this guy. He's been able to make a living for himself. I met Wode Maya once in a certain hammock. You know, I'll call it a cottage. Somewhere in Eburi, right? He had gone there to rest his body so he could hit one more country before returning to Ghana. And there we spoke briefly. He's made money. He's into real estate, as he told me. He's married to a Kenyan woman. Maybe to exemplify the integrity of Kwame Nkrumah and the Pan-African nature of Kwame Nkrumah when he left Ghana and went all the way to Egypt and picked a wife. My brother, my sister, Wode is a young man. He is into other businesses. And I'm told he's a crazy philanthropist. You will hardly see him wear a suit. The only time I saw him wear a suit was when he went to a friend's wedding. And, of course, the dress code was that, being the bridegroom's whatever, he had to wear a suit. He was most uncomfortable in it, like I would always be. That's a Pan-Africanist. In Jamaica, they see him as a replica of Marcus Garvey because he has that broad Marcus Garvey face. He might not have the intelligence and the acumen of Marcus Garvey, but he certainly has the looks. Hallelujah. And he is going through the footsteps of Marcus Garvey, Pan-Africanism. He's made money for himself. He is paying school fees for so many different people across Ghana and beyond. School fees that nobody helped him pay when he was coming up as a little boy. Sometimes he had to skip classes because there was no money to pay school fees. Recently, he was in Jamaica and they were speaking the slave history. A lot of Jamaicans believe, especially the black ones, that they are Ashanti. They take Ashanti names left, right, and center. I have delivered this lecture time and again. We are happy that at least they are coming home. Ashanti, Ashanti, Mia Ashanti, Mia Kwame, Mia Kofi. You know, they like Kwame, they like Kofi, they like Kweku, and all the days that align with the days of the week. At least they are coming home. You see, or Konfubonia, or Betna Yare for Ama, or Konfupa, bet. No. Yeah, you know, man. At least there's something that they are holding on to. When they enter the country, they will learn more. To a lot of Jamaicans, they don't even know that there's anything called Dagomba, or Fra, or Gan. No, till they arrive here. All they believe is that the whole of Ghana is Ashanti. So Wode went. They were talking about slavery. And then somebody said, oh, yeah, they were taken from Ashanti. They were Ashantis and blah, blah. Wode simply came in and said, no. A lot of the slaves that ended up in Jamaica and some other Caribbean countries, in fact, they were captured from the north. So instead of constantly saying Ashanti, Ashanti, we have to start a new discourse, a new dialogue that says that we are also Dagomba, Fra, Katsina Nankana, and Kusasi, Mamprusi, and so on and so forth. That's the crime of Wode. According to him, Ashantis were also capturing some slaves and selling away. What is the problem? What wrong has Wode committed? So let me take you through history now. What Wode said is correct. It's correct. There was a king of Ashanti. He was called Otumfour Osei-Kojo. Otumfour Osei-Kojo was king of Ashanti somewhere in 1764, all the way until his death in 1777. He reigned for 13 years. In fact, when he was king, he brought one of the most developments to Asante. He fought wars. My brother, my sister, you know what he did? You know what he did? He went all the way to Dagomba. Because a Dagomba king called Na Abdallah Garba had defied the power of the Ashanti. At the time, the Dagomba were so powerful in the north that it had become the most dominant ethnic group in the area. My brother, my sister. So the Asante decided that he will go there and teach him a lesson. So they met on the way. There are so many different versions of this, and that is what makes history sweet. We call them schools of thought. We have drum language that tells you some history. Oral tradition tells you some history before the written, and we are told that the most authentic is the written. Watch this. Now, long and short of it all, there was a certain kind of war. And the Dagomba king was captured. Na Abdallah and Garba by the Asantes. When they were taking him away, the princes of Dagbon realized that if they were going to fight boot for boot, they might end up killing their king, Na Abdallah Garba. I would simply call him Na Garba here. You know what they did? They decided to have a truce with the Asantes. You have our king. We also have captured a lot of your people. We will give you all your people. Give us back our king. And the Asantes, under Otumfour Osei Kojo, said, Dabida yenye. We have captured their king. Why should we just give them back the king like that? Listen to this attentively. We want to have a truce with you as well. Every year, you people will give us 1,000 slaves. Wherever you are going to get those slaves from, we don't care. 1,000 slaves, 1,000 cows, and bring us cloths. Because at the time, the Dagombas were weaving cloth out of the baobab tree and also out of the kapok, out of even the cotton tree. So they wanted that as well. The Dagombas said, Kai de Patale, who will do it? They will do it. My brother, my sister. And see what happened next. Hey! Now, when the Dagombas agreed, they also asked for yams, tubers of yams. Hey! The way the Dagombas agreed, remember the Ashantis and the Dagombas have a romantic affair. The Asante king realized that, these Dagomba guys, they are so handsome. And they are very strong too. But in the words of the Asante king, they are not as wise as us. Nyansan kwan omu nibi. Ahondi di omu obi. Omu hu su eye fe. Be ma tintin. Hu fe. And hu din. Let us arrange so the Asante men will stay aside for now. The Dagomba men will marry our women. He was a great king. Even before science could prove it, he knew that genes could be transferred. Hey. And that was how Dagomba became Dagomba Kotoko. They call that Nwa Kotoko. There are 3 Kotokos in the history of Ghana. Nzima Kotoko. The Dagomba Kotoko is called Nwa Kotoko and Asante Kotoko. They became one. Nzima, Dagomba, and Ashanti. But before then, slaves were captured because of the truths from the north. So a lot of the slaves that the Asantes were selling out were from the north, and they were supplied by the Dagombas because of the truths. They would go into the hinterlands, fight and bring slaves to the Asante. 1,000 every year. To make it worse, the worst slave raiders that we have had in the history of Africa, apart from the white man, my brother, my sister, were Samori Toure and Babatu. Samori Toure was the leader of the Wasulu Empire. He fought the French. He was an ustaz, serious Muslim cleric. He captured slaves left, right, and center and took them all the way to the coastal area through the Ashanti and more to be sold. People who defied him, he captured all of them, swept them. The west was a guy called Babatu. Babatu died in Yendi. Samori Toure and Babatu were playing around the northern area. They never went beyond the northern area. They never went into Kumasi. No. They captured the northerners, shipped all of them through Kumasi and all those places, and sold them to the coastal ships. So, my brother, we can go deeper in the history of Samori Toure and Babatu. Some ethnic groups, even in the north, like the Sisala and more, they came together with Babatu. The Dagombas even came together with Babatu and agreed that don't catch people from our ethnic groups. But Samori Toure and Babatu would always ask, how do we identify them? That's how come they give tribal marks. Fra will give you pon. When you see them, the bigger the better. When you see this one like this, that means that it's one of us. Don't catch them. Sisala will give 2, pa, like that. In Hausa they say kafan kaza, the leg of a fowl, 2 like this, pa. The Moses, pra. They most of the time had an alliance with these slave raiders. They gave them wives, they gave them food so that they would leave their people in the slave raid. My brother, a lot of the people who went into slavery from this part of the world, as Wode Maya rightfully said, came from the north. You can't dispute it. Of course, we had wars that involved other ethnic groups. How many times did they happen? There were constant raids from the camps of Samori Toure and Babatu. Do you remember George Ekem Ferguson? How many of you remember George Ekem Ferguson? He came all the way from Fante, went all the way to the north, and he got accosted by the slave raiders of Samori Toure. You know what they did to him? They killed him and buried him right there in Wa. Today when you go to Wa, his grave is still there. That was how rampant slave raids were in the north. When you go to the north, the hills and the valleys, you will see caves where slaves used to, in fact, people used to go and hide to run away from these raids. There is none in some of these areas of the south. None, absolutely. Go to the north, Gambaga, Bolga, and all those areas, slave caves. And some of them you go in there and still find food. What kind of food am I talking about? Grains. I don't know why our people are not documenting this historically and making them places for tourists to go and check. I went and I saw. They were constantly under the threat of being raided. So with Maya, where has he gone wrong? A lot of the people in Jamaica are from the north. They are Frafra, Dagomba, Kusasi, and all that. Of course, we are not saying there couldn't have been Ashantis. Of course, there could be. There were. Because some of the revolt, my brother, my sister, was started by some warrior Ashantis. Even Opoku Frede, who fought at the Battle of Dodowa, one of the fiercest warriors of the Ashanti, was from the north. He was one of those they picked from the north to come and join the Ashantis. Ashantis and the Dagombas have become one because of this issue. We can go deeper and talk more about some of these histories and all that, naming of places and all that. I don't want to turn this into a history class. I just wanted those who are talking and seeing Wode Maya as an enemy and all that to be able to see the true history of the thing. He might not be a historian like me or some of you, but he has accurately told the story. He has told the story. These are things that happened in the past. Today we are a better people. Does it mean we shouldn't tell our history? Certainly not. It's the black pot, aka Kokoshonemo. And here we speak truth to power. Now many people will say, how come Opoku Frede was called Opoku and not Zangbalang? Oh, some name from the north. Because of the Ashanti-Dagomba integration, a lot of names changed. Dagombas who had names original to them, the intermarriages, it was a pride to have them being integrated into the Ashanti land. Their names changed. There was a queen mother called Napare. Queen Napare. She came all the way from Yendi. She was a royal. In fact, she was the grandmother of this man who used to do Sincerely Yours on TV, Fritz Balfour. And find time and read that story. She was from the north, but her name changed into Nana, something, something, something. All because of some of these intermarriages I'm talking.
All right, I know I don't know. So Black Rasta, I just say yes. Wode Maya is not wrong, and he has done marvelous work. I should say, Utiunin Seminako say, Wode Maya I promote to Ashanti Kingdom, and then when I had ye, upon whom more than one sitting in a blabber Maya succeed. I just say, or making life. Itin semwa Black Rasta eka na chese yenuano enso so ayadea enya senketu akra. Baba jo ya semu Ghana hamedika aka chese yo hene na uko kanzi siye ya obibejo anu si bone se yeniken and yeniken you chief your paramount chiefs, but I don't have kin any other day. But Ashanti tribe Emetina Honga say they don't have Abia kin. Ashanti tribe Asantefo nesi omo kin Otumfour. He is the ruler of all the chiefs. Chesemo Asante mem. Nipa bi kukura no muna osikum. And only problem ayana ekoso. But all the same no one day they will understand it properly. Just say nyasem kitwa ya ukodom construction aboni amwadan si hu ne ma blocks edisi adan machine id tunsu akofa bi diaba upewekesa ombe wajumada ma wa friend 0554360760 and I say 0592680366 na unu omo entwetwe ye enkomo kama pa nyasem kitwa hani dimusi Unity Online TV ni ye be upon that to say free na fe mo jwato ndi on the road entimi efamo yakram bye bye.
Oman mu se eba se yensi dan na yemfa na de emfanya adwuma eye company ba ko pe na mekan for dia mawo money Alex Tito Company Limited se wesi udan wi pa abrosan wesi se dentia na person she the proof. We hear root control gate to fie ano sɛ be ya obi ani hɔ no a wonya so a na bi di ama wo sɛ woyɛ do modern one woyɛ kyɛ sɛ container woyɛ stainless ɛde to fie na fie no yɛ boga wopɛ sɛ woyɛ adeɛ a abusua ɛbɛhunu sɛ ne bɛyɛ bɛbra anaasɛ yɛ bɛbra ɛyɛ Alex Tito Company Limited ɛna wɔsɔ no di dwuma efie no sɛ yɛ hotel sɛ ɛyɛ down bell na yɛsie na wopɛ sɛ woyɛ no nadeɛ stainless bɛbra proof de hyehyɛ mpoma no mu wɔyɛ modern door wɔyɛ China doors woyɛ no nyinaa bi ɛyɛ sɛ China doors no deɛ mmɛfo no ayɛ no sɛ ɛpono no sɛe a wotu sɛe no kwa but Alex Tito se bra wo China door no bɛyɛ no Ghana ha deɛ kama ɛde ama wo ɛdan fɛfɛɛfɛ ɛbɛsiesie mu na bibia akɔ so kama ɛso de ama stainless no the glasses big green mo ne momfrɛ no na mo ne ntwetwe nkɔmmɔ ne nsa no adwuma fɛ Alex Tito ɔyɛ professional na nsa no adwuma no bi na ɛtwa gu ɛyɛ fidie so yi enti a wɔhɔ Unity Online TV na wɔne yɛn ɛdi dwuma no hwɛ sɛ Alex Tito bɛyɛ adwuma bi ama ɛho te kama ɛhɔ na ɔwɔ Asante mantam mu Kumase ɛna ɔbɛhu Alex Tito na wayɛ wo dan no ho adwuma ɛde ama na deɛ biara the proof China doors no stainless ɔbɛyɛ no kama ɛde ama 0541 901 819 Alex Tito ne nsa no adwuma ɛfɛ kama paa Alex Tito metal and stainless work fantastic one fɛ no na ne ntwetwe nkɔmmɔ